Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends. It's seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. To view, please use capital letters RBRIMO. That's Ronald Berry Robinson, in my opinion. That's capital letters RBRIMO to view our huge catalog of shows. I want to welcome our viewing audience as well as Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron.
And Mr. Neesmith Allen.
Hello, Ronald. Hi, Henry.
Hi.
To the In My
Ron,
Opinion Show.
May I just say while we're
Absolutely.
I want to thank and congratulate Denise for some new opportunities that her son has presented to him. I know he will do well in this endeavor. If it comes about, I will be wishing him well. We need to see more African Americans rise to the next platform. That just makes me goosebumps on it to see that happen.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Denise, tell our viewing audience what this happy occasion is all about.
Well, it hasn't come to fruition yet, so I don't want to let the cat out the
Yeah.
bag.
Oh,
How
that's
about
why I
let
didn't
us
say
let
anything.
us do this maybe at the next show?
Okay, that's great. That's great. Why women must have equal treatment? Should women have equal access treatment in America? Danielle Crispo, a 36-year-old mother of 3 who works in building services and housekeeping, speaks for millions of women in the United States, earning a living, caring for her family, hoping to save for the future, and struggling every month just to make ends meet. She dreams of getting ahead while doing all she can to get by. Her story expresses the day-to-day reality of most families' lives in our country, yet voices like hers have been sorely lacking from the heady debates about American women that have received so much attention over the past 18 months. In that time, high-pitched media debates about having it all and leaning in launched impassioned conversations about the stalled progress, unequal pay, and caregiving penalties that women face in the workplace. Conservative lawmakers' efforts to redefine rape and the revelation of widespread unprosecuted sexual crimes against women in the U.S. military raised painful new questions about women's safety, privacy, and basic dignity. Political fights over access to birth control and new state laws that impose intrusive medical exams upon women seeking abortions shocked many women into awareness of just how embattled their bodies remain. 4 decades after Roe v. Wade and in the wake of the Great Recession and a government sequester, deep cuts in women-heavy sectors of employment drove home the extreme vulnerability of many female breadwinners and their families. All of these examples of personal, professional, and economic struggle up and down the income chain in all sorts of different organized, educated, and politically affiliated households have sent American women a loud and clear message. We have come a long way, maybe, but we certainly could be doing a whole lot better. Here are some facts. Women make up 47% of the U.S. labor force and hold 52% of all professional level jobs, yet only 4.2% of Fortune 500 CEOs and 18% of Congress members are women. 40% of women are breadwinners, earning as much or more than their partners or providing the sole income for the families as single mothers, yet they are only earning 77 cents for every man's dollar. Overwhelmingly, majorities of Americans, Democrats and Republicans alike, say it is important for our government to consider new laws such as paid sick days and paid family and medical leave, insurance and help fund child care for working parents. 3/4 of Americans believe that employers should give workers more flexibility in their struggles and work locations, yet many women are still forced to choose between earning a living and caring for their families. 40 years after the Supreme Court ruled that abortion was a private matter between a woman and her doctor, women still contend with restrictive laws imposing rules, regulations, and logistical hurdles so onerous that in many states, Roe v. Wade is all but a dead letter. Fueled by frustration, women flocked to the polls last November and voted to re-elect President Barack Obama by a 12% margin. Their sense of urgency and outrage turned the campaign season, War on Women, into a year of the women in American politics, with historic gains for female candidates on both the state and federal level, and more women candidates than ever before. You don't make women angry was the lesson pollster Celinda Lake drew from the results. But in the wake of the dramatic election year, the sense of angry challenge and the promise of something new have faded, and many women are left feeling that all the women talk has proven hollow. Consumed with the day-to-day difficulties of making ends meet, worrying about the future, and scrambling to keep up with the many demands of their time and energies, many have grown impatient with what sounds like canned political theater as two parties continue to vie for their favor. They have grown disgusted with the seemingly endless media coverage of the lifestyle choices of the worried, wealthy, and hand-wringing over the much-decried end of men. They have grown tired of commentary that reduces the complexities of their lives to sound bites. Wow, that's a lot. Janice, let's go to you. What is your opinion, on the state of affairs, as far as women having equal treatment, whether it be Roe versus Wade, pay inequity, breaching that glass ceiling, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, from the article that you just read, certainly what I came away with is, yes, we have come a long way, and we still have so much further to go. To know that there are more single parent-headed households, and the fact that women, because they are in a situation where they are dealing with child care issues as well as not earning a substantial income, puts women in a very, very precarious situation. The other option, of course, if they were to go on public assistance. But even today with public assistance, there's a requirement for women that they must do what they call the Work First program, which requires them to look for work, and there's child care issues with that. The state may support them to some degree with child care issues, but it's still a question of getting somebody who's qualified and able to care for the children, because as you already know, there's so many children, particularly here recently, that have experienced just some bad treatment and have even lost their lives because of the inadequate care that they've gotten. So, I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation that women are still facing in the 21st century, that we are at a position where if we want to work outside of the home, or sometimes not a question of if we want to, but if there's a necessity for us to work, that we also have to contend with the realities of getting qualified, good child care, and making sure that our children are safe. So it really puts us in a very, like I said, a precarious situation. And then there are women who have to make a choice, or are going to make a choice as to whether they're going to bring children into the world. Now, the situation has already been resolved with Roe versus Wade, but we have still some people who are proponents of trying to dismantle that. And, the law as it reads right now is the law. So if a person chooses to end a pregnancy, that's between them, the doctor, and their God, okay? So, it's, like I said, it's all over the map in terms of where women are today, but my position is that we still have a long way to go. There are women who are holding office. There are women who are, being able to do a lot of things that we weren't able to do at one time. But when you compare us globally around the world, American women are still in a very good position compared to some women in other countries. But I think overall, we're really it's a struggle, and we will continue to fight the good fight until we get some parity. If you work 8 hours, you're doing the same job that the guy next to you, you should get the same salary. That's the end of the, end of the story.
Well, how do women, especially depending on what polls you listen to, women outnumber men, considerably.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in some polls it's 15 to 1, and some it's 10 to 1. With that, with that advantage, all right, what is it going to take for women to say, hey, look, okay, enough is enough, all right, been there, done that. Okay, now it's time to it's time to make definite positive changes.
Yes, yes, and those kind of changes are political in nature, and so for that to happen, women have to understand that it's going to be necessary for them to galvanize and use the power that they have. And their power, of course, is, registering to vote and getting out there and voting and dealing with public policy. And how do you do that? You get people in place who are able to speak to those issues that resonate within women. And those issues are, again, you're dealing with, pay equity, you're dealing with child care issues, and you're dealing with, the treatment of women if they make a decision about their bodies. Okay, so that to me is a point where women really have to understand who they are and their power and their contribution to this society.
Well, how do you go about breaking the good old boy network so that women have a fair chance of breaking that closed shop, if you will, all right, to get in the positions in terms of politics?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's unfortunate, but in some instances, some folks are quote unquote going to have to die off, okay, if you will, because the attitude is what you may not be able to change. There's some people who are very rigid in their opinion about women, and they may be in leadership positions, but eventually either they, like I said, move off the scene or they're voted out. Okay, and that's the only way that, in my mind, in my opinion, that can occur. And in the meantime, as women are raising their children, are communicating with their husbands, significant others, or what have you, they need to be able to share with them, their concerns about being treated fairly. Because, like I said, it's a mindset, it's an attitude. And, those kinds of things you cannot legislate, but you can move the people who are making those decisions out of office if they're not in sync with what the consensus of women are.
Absolutely. Mr. Hatter, what are your thoughts?
Ron, first of all, let me thank you for reminding us around this table that this month is Women's Breast Awareness Month. And I'd like to dedicate my remarks today to my wife, Barbara, and to all of the women in my life who are blood relatives. On behalf of them, I dedicate to the women everywhere that we here dedicate ourselves around this table to become an advocate to assure that women are getting the health care they need to sustain their lives and to prevent breast cancer awareness. So I am committed to that, and that leads me into the discussion of where we are with the disparity between men and women, and should women have should we close that gap between between positions and between pay and so on. And I would say, as I said here, that my wife is a woman, my mother was a woman, my daughter's a woman, my granddaughter's a woman. Now, to deny categorically women those rights, I deny my own rights, my own case, what I believe in. Those are the people who are closest to me. That rationale should resonate with everybody around this table and in your audience, that I'm probably getting closer to the truth of what we all believe. we're getting close to, because all of us should have this same kind of gravity to this subject, to women, as they're related to us. And therefore, it should permeate out over women everywhere. And women, by any other name, is still a woman, okay? And for that, I definitely argue that there should be no disparity in the wage that men and women earn. But I read an article in 1990 in the Boston Tribune, and it was that by the year 2000, by 2005, women will play, and African Americans will play a greater role in the workforce. If you take a look at it, and you see that trend that's happened in the United States, it's growing. It will grow automatically. You have painted a dim view of what's going on in the country, but you got to go into the classroom. You got to look at the performance of K through 12, academic performance between boys and girls. Girls outnumber boys academically as high achievers by probably, I'd say, 10 to 20%. They have a margin of that kind of thrust. And it's every year. It's in all schools, whether they're urban schools or whether they're rural schools or whatever. But that margin is growing. Women have broken the ceiling to corporations, to government, to everywhere. This won't happen overnight because there's a system out there and the system is rigid. And the only way that you maintain system is to put some rigidity in it so it won't collapse. And I am, and I think like many other people out there who think the same as I do, that women will eventually outperform men so that they will be in more of a leadership position. But this is something that you don't want to push. You want to let it grow just by its natural attrition. And a lot of this may not even be true, what we're talking about. Like women are still concerned over the disparity between their wages, simply because what you're hearing are probably noises from women who have not achieved their goals. And some of the advocacy groups who just don't feel that they have achieved what men have achieved yet. But there are women who are also concerned about this thrust, this aspiration to achieve these goals over just a short time. And that could be very reckless to all of us, to the system that we live in. It must take time. And women, like I say, if you go back and look at the data, whether in corporations, all you have to do is look at TV. And whenever the government says, well, we have a spokesperson that's going to speak on behalf of the bombing in Beirut, guess what's going to be on the TV? A woman. If General Motors had something that they did wrong, they say, well, we need to listen to the spokesperson for General Motors Corporation. Guess what she's going to be?
It's a woman.
What do you see on TV? You see women. And you see women doing a great job. And men love to look at women who do good jobs. They love to look at the way they look, the way they react to issues. So there's a growing relaxing of the rigid views that men have looked at women.
Henry, I want to challenge you on one thing in
Go
terms
ahead.
of what you mentioned about the women who are spokespersons. Ironically, the women who are being spokespersons is usually when there is something on a negative.
That's all right. That's what we need. Corporations need that because men can't do it.
Men can do it. Men can do it, and they usually do it when it's something positive to speak about.
When you're in trouble, you want your best face out there.
Yes.
Somebody that people...
But there's a subliminal message.
But that's a good strategy. That's a good business strategy.
But it's subliminal. It's always, if there's a problem,
yeah,
there's a problem.
What's wrong with that?
But I don't
Women
agree.
can do something better than men.
But they're
Let
not.
it work.
But they're doing something. They're presenting a message, and the message that they're presenting.
But you do agree that this is true.
It's true that they're doing
Okay.
this, but they're doing it, like I said, it's the subliminal message that, okay, if they're in crisis, they're in trouble, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Let the woman do it. Let the woman talk about
Look at all the plant managers that are women who are at General Motors. They're not the spokesperson, but they are the people that make the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the plant managers that's everywhere. Women are rising up, and we need to let it grow by attrition.
Well, it's going to, like I said, you and I are in agreement there because, like I said, some of these attitudes have to die off.
Yeah.
They just have to die off.
But then, by contrast, look at the black male. We don't go out and say, well, things don't change fast enough, and we got to have this right now and that, and so on and so forth. People get tired of people crying about it. Let us move on of our own volition, and our own talents into the mainstream.
But that's
Not-
fine in theory, but in practice, it,
That's
it
the only
doesn't
thing
work
that
that
works,
way.
Ron. That's the only thing that works. People would dig your platform from underneath you if you don't move by progression.
Progression is fine, but there still should be people out in front speaking about the inequities. That's a very good approach. And in the meantime, people need to be educated. Okay, you have to deal with your grassroots. You
We
have to
talk about women being better educated than men, and they're
Uh-huh.
taking over those jobs, as they should.
Right.
Nobody's objecting. That's by attrition. It makes
They
sense.
may take the jobs, but we're talking about the pay now.
I began to contest
Mm-hmm.
whether women are indeed underpaid if they're plant managers. Or in higher echelons,
Mm-hmm.
because there are pay scales, level 6, level 7, level 8, and so on and so forth. And then in union positions, women must get the same pay.
Yes.
Okay.
There's equity there.
So you can't say that if you've done no research. You can't say that. You have nothing to teach us. You have nothing to teach the audience. You can't teach us anything because you've done no research.
No, but I beg to differ.
But I told you
I
about
beg to
the
differ.
trend in schools.
Uh-huh.
What's happening in schools.
I agree
A
with
lot of
that.
people don't like it, but what can we do? And there are women who are really concerned about this trend because what's happening to boys, they're very concerned. Boys are falling away.
Mm-hmm. And that's in all areas we're talking.
Yeah,
That's
this-
in all
boys
areas.
are falling away.
Uh-huh.
There's a great concern by women
Mm-hmm.
for what's happening to their boys
Mm-hmm. As it
because
should be.
they won't compete.
I have two concerns. All right, you talked about women being spokesmen for
Yeah.
General Motors and this, that, whatnot. All right, well, men are probably not listening to the message. All right, they're looking at the woman. Okay, in my opinion.
Okay,
All
that's a new version.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
And do they really grasp the message? All right. And secondly, all right, job fairness is great if you have a union, but the way the things are going now, unions are being dismantled. So then, what happens then?
Right.
All right.
Unions
Now, do
have
we
to
go
do
back
that.
to do women go back to prior to before they could vote?
No, unions have to change their strategy for survival. There's a way you do that. Everything that wants to survive will make nuances, changes, and will prepare themselves for survival. Whatever that is, we all do. Every living thing does that. The union has failed to do that. And I talked to a union president about 15 to 20 years ago before Buick closed. They said, I won't share the conversation with you, but I said that there's a solution to this. But they were so hung up politically that they couldn't see the necessary strategy for survival of Buick and Local 599. You know, that's too bad. We have to frame ourselves for survival. Men have to do that. Women have to do it.
Right.
And men
women
now
are
must,
doing it.
Well, but you're at the expense of the men.
No, well, it's
Look
not.
at what's happening at K through 12. We already said that. And I said, and I can show you in black and white that women are really concerned about what's happening to the boys. There's a trend.
I understand. You're talking about, you know,
Mhm.
the data that you
Yeah.
have available to the educational system, but I'm still talking about, let's talk about the grassroots, the women who are out here every day, who are trying to survive, who are single parent household heads and are working minimum wage jobs, want to go to school, want to better themselves, and have run across numerous roadblocks because there are people in position right now who don't want to see that happen. And we, like I said, this comes down to your political, your legislative branch right now, who really wants to take the women back. They want to take them back to like the Ice Age, if you will, you know. And these women have to learn that they are sleeping giants and that they have the wherewithal to make things better for themselves. But they first have to engage in the process.
Well, they're engaging educationally. That process will come about, but it won't come about the way you think it does. You can't. It won't come about through violence. It won't come about
we didn't mention violence.
through crushing the system.
I
It
think
has to be done in a methodical, well thought out way.
I think that all women should woman up and don't reelect those men or women, okay, that are opposed to equality. Period. This has been
I
a great
agree.
conversation. We must bring the In My Opinion show to a close, but I want to thank our excellent technical staff and my very learned co-hosts, Mr. Henry Hatter and Mr. Denise Smith Allen, and you, the viewing audience. Until next time, stay focused.